A possible plan that would essentially see a coordinated cut up to 1 million barrels per day was pretty much slapped down by Iran yesterday. Basically, we heard from these ministers on the sidelines of the International Energy Forum. Saudi Arabia going into these conversations with a very, very positive vibe, and Iran basically saying that they want to continue to maintain the ability to get back to pre-sanctions levels of output, back to where they were in 2012, back to around 4.1, 4.2 million barrels per day. And they're just really not going to get on board with anything, at least in the coming hours. That's what we're hearing on the sidelines of this International Energy Forum. So it seems as if Saudi Arabia really trying to come to the table, really trying to bring a deal here, but Iran really at this point, guys, holding all the cards.
Hadley, are we getting to the point where we keep hearing that there's potentially going to be a production freeze deal or a production cut deal, and it never quite shakes out? Are we getting to the point where we're talking about the cartel that essentially cried wolf?
You could be forgiven for thinking that, I think, Morgan. At this point, I mean, they do seem to be dragging it out. But I have to say that if you look at the mind meld here of the Saudis, for example, they're really hurting in their economy at home. And this has taken a couple of years to really shake out and become quite obvious. I mean, certainly in the private sector, if you look at what's happening in the economy there, this is a country, of course, they don't collect taxes in Saudi Arabia. So getting an idea of what's really happening in the private sector versus the government sector, kind of takes a while to trickle up to the top, if you will. And what's interesting, of course, is over the last couple of days, we've been hearing how they're deciding to cut back on ministers' salaries and talking about, slashing bonuses. When the Deputy Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia came out just a few months ago and said, we're going to really tighten belts and we're going to revamp plans for diversifying this economy, I think that folks really weren't aware of just how deeply these cuts were going to go. And I think that you're going to continue to see Saudi Arabia really trying to come to the table here because they do realize that this fight for market share, in terms of taking on the U.S. shale producers, those guys have really adapted to these price shocks, and it's time for a new plan. So the question, of course, is will the Saudis convince the Iranians that it's time to come to the table? And as I say, it seems as if at least today, as we're going into these further conversations on the sidelines of this forum here in Algiers, that Iran is holding all the cards.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the eye right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.